we move on to our first panel discussion of the day, which is on digitization of K-12 education, upgrading the curriculum, examination, assessment, and engagement. The panelists for this session are Ms. PRIYA ANAND, who is the Director of Academics and Head School of TCIS Whitefield, joined by Dr. SHIVANANDA CS, the Principal at Global India and International School Whitefield, Mr. AMIT JAIN, the School Director at OAKRIDGE, Bengaluru, Lieutenant Colonel A. SEKHAR, who is the Executive Director at ADITANAR Education Institutions, Mr. RAJIV RAZDAN, who is the VP of Digital Sales K-12 India at EUPHEUS Learning, and Mr. NAVEEN MANDAVA, who is the Co-Founder and Executive Director at IMAX by CLASSKLAP. The moderator for this session is Mr. KULDEEP SUROLIA, who is the Director of SORSFORT International School.
Good morning, Bangalore, and good morning, educationists. A very warm welcome to all of you. First of all, thank you to EdTech. Thank you to UTKARSji to giving us this opportunity to share our views on digitization. But before I get into the panel, let me share about myself. My name is KULDEEP SUROLIA. If you do Google, you will not find anything about me. So let me share myself to you. I do little work in academics. We are in education from last 100 years. Personally, I'm doing it from last 2 decades only. Being part of a couple of learning process through some of the leading educationists through you, in India and abroad also, as part of various leading institutions like London Business School, Harvard, and in India also. I've interacted with some of the educationists here already in my previous panel. Topic given to me and to all of us today is digitization. All of you know what is digitization. Can somebody please hand over the mic if somebody can define what is digitization?
I think that digitization is, I would say, putting the processes and work into electronic format where it, for the betterment of the efficiency and productivity of the institution or the individuals.
Perfect. That's great. Yes, we have one more opinion there.
My opinion about digitization is it is use of effective technology and procedures in teaching learning process.
In teaching learning process. That's great. Thank you, sir. So
Thank you, sir.
I think we can have a small clap for him so that we can wake up also. Yeah. So digitization is good. Say yes. A little more louder, yes. Yes. Digitization is good. Yes. All of you are using digitization. All these are Bangalore schools, correct? Yes. Louder, yes, please. So all of us are using SATs also. It's brilliant. It works superbly faster. Let's clap for SATs. No clap for SATs. So people who use, so digitization is one of that example of it. But today, my scope of discussion will not be limited to the SATs. It will be only limited to the curriculum assessment and examination, not beyond that. SATs is not part of that for the Bengaluru schools here. Also, Digital India concept has been thought by our current Prime Minister, and there's a big wave which is running even in NCERT and CBSE. There are a lot of digitization of books is happening in India, which is through e-Basta, e-Pathsala also, which is happening, and through which we can send our books to the literally nooks and corners of India right here. In India, we have a challenge of teaching 300 million students, and I think digitization is going to play a key big role in making the education reach to the last students in India. Bangalore is a very rich and very beautiful city, and I don't think we will have challenges in terms of digitization because this is a highly educated city right here. Through my learned, Shivanandaji, Dr. Shivanandaji joins me again, I think this time a little late. So, so there will be a, there's always a little for a student who comes late in the class of that. So I run a program, Principal Ki Pathsala, to learn myself. In that Pathsala, I learn myself through you education. So, I'll start my discussion through our current Prime Minister's Digital India concept, digitization of India, and we are going to limit our discussion to curriculum, assessment, and engagement only. Not beyond that, not before that, not through any other digitization process right here. One more thing which I would like to understand, and I would love to learn from you and through all of you is digitization different from technological? Or these are synonym words? So, okay, let's dwell it. I don't know. I know. I don't know. I don't know. Dr. Shivananda ji, you have come late. So, a little, with your kind permission, this is a small request that we'll start with you. Please. Please, sir.
You want me to answer that?
Yes. Start with digitization and please share what is the difference between digitization and technology.
Yeah. Namaste, everybody. Sorry for being late. I believed my Google map, which said 1.5 hours is enough, but it took 2.5 hours.
Digitization.
Yeah. Yeah. See, technology is a broad term. Digitization, I feel it's part of it. We had technology before digitization also. If you see any Hollywood movies, 40 years ago, there was a technology, but there is no digitization. So
Yes.
technology's definition keeps changing. Maybe after 20 years, digitization definition may also change.
Okay.
So at present, we use digitization and technology synonymously, but they are not same. There are many technologies still existing without digitization.
Perfect.
Science put into practical use is called technology. And technology can be done without digitization also. If you ask a child to make one learning aid or any practical use, for example, the first step of learning robotics is without digitization. It's happening in schools, in my school also.
How come? Please share.
See, we ask a child to make a four-wheeler using motors. There's no digitization involved. It is just motor, cells, and connecting them.
Perfect.
So digitization is using 0101 codes, our programming languages, making decisions, giving alternates, giving various programming through this digitization technique. We had photography before digitization.
Perfect. Have you done digitization of curriculum in your schools also, sir?
Yes, we have,
How
but
come?
we have not invested any money.
Wow. What's the
We
payout?
use freewares. In fact, my classroom doesn't have much of gadgets. I personally believe digitization has the sole purpose of transferring information. At present, maybe in the future it will change. So I have not used a lot of gadgets in my class. However, I use transferring of information through various blending of learning. We call it as blended learning, wherein passing of information happens before the class. During the class, we use the class time to discuss and to take the learning to a higher order, wherein we ask children to analyze, create, synthesize, assimilate, and present without using any technology. But before the class, we ask the child to go through the information through videos, through text, through presentations. All these things happen before the class. At present, digitization is taking us to a new level in sharing of information, in collaboration, in communication, but it is not yet gone to an extent where it enhances critical thinking, it enhances creativity, it helps us to have a deeper understanding. Technology has not yet gone there. Maybe after 20 years, with the introduction of AI and other tools, it may help us to do so. And I don't want to waste my class time for passing on our information. That can happen very well before the class. And we also use technology to integrate, to communicate, to share our views, to pass on our comments without the time gap in the real time. In fact, in grade 10, we use Zoom classes to do performance enhancement class. We don't call it as remedial because remedial class has become a taboo now. No parent wants their child to be called as a remedial class child. So we say performance enhancement class. It happens after school hours because I cannot ask the teachers to stay back and do it in the school.
Perfect, sir. I understand that. I think I will move to Amit, sir, also. I wanted to know something on, you are using some technology for curriculum and assessments, right, sir? So can you share, and so that we can learn, and probably all of us as an educators, we can learn and take then. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuldeep. Good morning to everybody. So we just discussed about technology and digitization. As a panel member, I slightly disagree or differ from the term digitization itself. I think instead of using the term digitization, we should be using the term digital transformation. So I'll explain the difference between these two with a very quick example. All of us sitting here as educators, personally, I see 3 problems in our classrooms today, in every classroom. Irrespective of the curriculum, irrespective of the school that the child is going to, there are 3 basic problems that all of us face as educators. How many, just give me show of hands if you all believe that every child in the class that you teach or in your school is unique and different. Everybody believes that? Great. How many of you believe that every child has individual needs and learns at different pace? That's true. And how many of us in the classroom look at the progress of the child at the end of the term? Great. But see, this is the irony of the learning. As somebody was mentioning before, a child is a unique gifted gift on the earth. We are spoiling the kids actually as educators because of these things. So instead of so what is digitization? Digitization, to my understanding, is whatever you have on paper, you convert them into electronic format. So you have a book, you convert it into an e-book, that becomes a digital book. You probably have a lecture, you make it as a recorded, make it as a video lecture, it becomes a digital lecture. I don't think that's anywhere going to solve the problems that we have in our classrooms. The problems are like this. Since we believe that every child is unique and their needs are unique, but we all teach all the kids in our classroom the same way.
But
while we talk about differentiation.
Amit sir, sorry, but what's our mistake? Because these are defined by the government. These are the state rules. So there are key learning parameters defined by the government, either by the government of India, central government, or the government of states also. And as an educator, sorry, I'm playing the devil's advocate here. Sure. But as an educator, as the owner, as the principal of the school, I have a target and a milestone to achieve that. Yeah. So how can I divert that where I have a legal compliance to be achieved?
Exactly.
And move on to one-on-one teaching.
Sure, I'll come to that point actually. So while we teach all the children in our classroom in the same way, while we know they have unique needs, the second important thing, Kuldeep, thanks for raising it, that we have timelines to meet. As educators, we have schedule to meet, we have things to complete. We know that by the end of this month, we have to finish this chapter, these many chapters, these units. By the end of this week, I have to complete these units. So we keep the learning variable, but we keep the schedules fixed for the child. Unfortunately, it should be the other way around. And third is we come to know about the assessments only at the end of the term, which is probably once in 3 months. There are, curriculum interventions where we look at assessments much more often. However, it's too late. It's, it doesn't help. After 3 months, if I know that the child has not understood what he has learned in the last 3 months, I don't know how it's going to help the child. But digital transformation, so if we move away from digitization and look at digital transformation, probably we can have answers to all the 3 problems that we are discussing. And
yeah, Priyaji, please add.
I also have something to add on.
I'll come to you after Priyaji. Okay, thank you.
So I totally agree with digital transformation. I feel our teaching and learning has now moved one step beyond digital learning. So what we are doing now is making teaching and learning more engaging. Like how Mr. Jain said that we are not just taking the lesson plans and just getting it converted into digitalization. I just want to give you a simple example of how curriculum is translated in my school. So what I do is get teachers to create lesson plans on a platform, on an Apple platform called the iTunes U Courses, where the lessons are interactive. No longer the child is sitting and waiting for the teacher to give the lesson is already shared. And there are learning engagements within the lesson where the child can do. Of course, I mean, schools should be blessed with having such kind of technology. We use the Apple technology. And one more thing I just want to point out is about assessments. Now, my teachers can give a voice feedback to the assessments. No longer they are waiting, the students are waiting to get the feedback from the teacher the next day. The assessments are uploaded, the teacher can annotate, the teacher can give a voice feedback through an app. and their learning is more real life. It's real, and the parents are also able to see the learning. So we've moved away, many of our schools have moved away from the traditional methods of where teachers are taking books home to correct and trying to give them worksheets to do, which is not at all meaningful.
How frequent is your assessment program in your school?
See, again, we are an IB school. We don't have like 4 assessments in a term or 5 assessments. Our assessments are ongoing. It depends on how the teacher wants to do it. We don't restrict the teacher for assessments at all. Of course, towards the end of the semester, we would have one summative assessment. We call it like not a big exam, but assessment. But assessments are ongoing. So the teaching and learning is more effective. The students are able to grasp, and I feel the learning is happening in a fantastic way because of digital transformation.
Perfect. That's a great example. Yes, sir.
I have a follow-up on one point you mentioned.
Yeah.
Firstly, my name is Colonel Shekhar, and don't take me to be a shoot and scoot army officer. I am from the Education Corps, and the present job I hold, I've just quit. This is a point which I want to update on what you said. Till grade 8, no curriculum tells you to follow X, Y, or Z. It's easy enough for us all to do that. It is self-created. We as principals, teachers, directors want to have that box in which we want to do it. That's the first part. Since we were able to do it at least till class 7, where we had complete freedom given to the teachers, we found things happening better.
Which board you are running, sir?
I have been in both ICSE and CBSE, and also in international boards.
Yeah, but just to add to that thing, state boards mandate that till 8th their curriculum needs to be followed.
No, curriculum is not the problem.
Including the books.
Yes, sir. No, sir. The books are not. If you check it in detail, the NCERT thing, see, India has got about 35 boards. We have only 20,000 CBSE schools, 2,500 ICSE schools, about 1,000 so-called international schools. Rest of our 15 lakh schools are in the state boards, about 34 of them. Correct. If you go through the whole lot, if you follow them, it has become kind of unofficially done that you will follow this. In reality, go into the depth of it. If you argue with them, if you go into them, there is no mandate till grade 8 other than 800,000 hours which you're supposed to cover. One aspect, we can continue on that a little later, sir. Yeah. I'll just follow up on the second point. What PRIYA said, and we have been colleagues before, is that in a classroom where the teacher is able to get content, get technology, get digitization done, on ground, in the schools I've been part of, we found that the teacher is able to save about 6 to 7 minutes per 40-minute session. But however, it would happen with the background wherein the content is prepared from what Mr. Amit said, from open source software, where the teachers themselves are involved in translating the curriculum framework into systems and processes, which is available to the classroom student. These are the 2 points I just wanted to highlight. Thank you.
That's great. I think now we have one, you add some of the, because you supply some of the curriculum in terms of technology, and you integrate all of us as school owners and principals and educators. You share what can we do as school owners, what value you bring it to on the table?
We believe that, okay, one question which I want to ask each one of you here. How many of you believe the textbooks are here to stay for at least some more time?
Raise of hands could be good.
How many
believe that textbooks will be there?
Textbooks will continue for some more time.
Say decade, 10 years, next 10 years, textbooks will continue? No. It will continue. Textbooks will continue. Yeah, so we have 50-60% people saying, yes, textbooks will continue. Okay. But still 50-60%, total is 120%. But yeah, so saying.
Correct. We don't. Correct.
Awesome.
Awesome. So digitization or digital transformation, what we may say, what we are looking at is, I would like to take an example here of a language program or a language course. Let's look at an English language course, which covers LSRW, right? Learning, listening, speaking, and writing. We believe that all the things LSRW may not be possible through a physical form, or all the three things may not be possible if we are totally dedicated to a digital form. There are certain things which have to be in a physical form, and there are certain things which technology can help us to do it in a digital form. For example, if I say that speaking is one of the important components. In a classroom environment, if we do not have a digital environment in a classroom, if there are children of 25 children in a classroom or a school with 40 children in a classroom, it becomes very difficult for an educator to make every child speak. Here the technology comes in to help that every child can speak at the same time in respect to the computer or a tab through he or she is interacting with, and every child can practice speaking and develop their speaking skills. So what we do at EUPHEUS Learning is we integrate the print, which is a textbook, a digital solution which can be used in a classroom, and a digital solution which can be used at home. So we plan to do a seamless single solution as to a school using the same pedagogy, using the same difficulty level, using the same language form, so that the child, a parent, and a teacher all do not have difficulty by using different solutions from different providers. So that's our objective, and that's how we are integrating all the three and using technology as a tool. Like morning, the speaker said that we also believe that teachers can't be replaced. They have to be there. Technology is only an aid which really helps each one to do better, so that the learning outcomes are very critical. So we use technology, and more importantly, the content which goes inside the technology, so that the learning outcomes have the actual efficacy or learning outcomes that each educationist requires in the classroom. That happens. So that is how we are integrating a physical form, a digital form at school as well as at home.
So you also think your physical form of books will one day go off and you will be purely digital in nature one day?
We personally, believe that physical form books will continue in India for quite some more time. They will not go away fast.
Okay, and are your curriculum being mapped to a particular board of examination, or it could be?
Our curriculum books are mapped to CBSE and ICSE boards.
Both, sir. Priya ji, you are using some Apple technology right here. So is it free of cost available, or how is it? Does Apple charges for it?
Yeah, we need to pick up an ASM. It's called the Apple School Manager. We have to have some bit of investment to do these things so that we can control the entire platform for our school, so that we have the copyright of the courses that our teachers create. So that has really helped. Like I've had many people coming and saying, we'll give you digitized lesson plans, and I say, no, I don't want. I want my teachers to create, because I feel what is available is the content is all either obsolete or outdated, which I don't want the kids. And there's so much imagination a teacher can use when they develop lesson plans digitally, which I feel is a little bit of hard work for teachers. Initially, you have a kind of face when we tell them this is what we want you to do, but a change is always good for everyone. I mean, we need to look at how we have to move ahead. We can't look at what we were doing backwards. So I feel this has come to stay, and I feel digital transformation is a necessity now and not an option any longer.
So I think you are starting with the teacher training program first, because digitization first you have to train your teachers how to do those things, and then probably train the students.
And I think learning is ongoing. You don't need to spend a year to train them. We would just induct teachers, and we would start training them to get into making lesson plans on the iTunes U platform. So it takes a little time, but it's not so difficult. Because these plans, again, you can keep reworking them. It's like ongoing lessons. So even the kind of discussions that the students have from home to the teacher on that iTunes U platform is amazing, because they're coming to the class the next day knowing what the teacher is going to teach. So there's a prior learning question that's posed there. So the students are now this caters to diverse learners. I mean, like we said, in a class of 20, each child learns in a different way, right? So this would really help them. Technology is helping students of different kinds to learn and grasp.
Awesome,
So,
that's great.
thank you, thank you.
I'll add few things here. Why did Aristotle, or why did Alexander became what he became? Because no one tutors probably are available. Or Chandragupta, why did he become Chandragupta? Because he had a Chanakya available full-time as a teacher to teach him. And probably today 101 teaching kind of is a hugely challenging and very, very costly affair also. Rather, one of the things, Priya ji, I learned it in one of my Mumbai seminar through one of the very senior and learned educators. She shared that she's a principal, she's an owner, and they have 3,000 to 4,000 students with a CBSE curriculum. They start their classes with all teaching with assessment. First thing they do is assessment. Simple question, and then they get into the teaching and learning and project methodology and whatever educational field, whatever tool or trick they want to use it. So it's a flip model which I cherished learning from her. I think I'll move it to the another speaker. Please, sir. Yeah.
I can share my own take on terms of the whole aspects about technology and digitization part. So I'm NAVEEN MANDAVA, co-founder of CLASSKLAP. We are India's largest curriculum program with a focus on personalization in classrooms. We are present in 1250 plus schools, covered by Harvard Business Review as a case study for personalization, for scaling personalization in India. And my own challenge started, this is like, teaching in rural schools in Andhra, where I would teach a concept, and after that, I would feel really great. I was like, wow, I did a really great job. But then when the assessment happened, children would not really perform well. And my own quandary started that, after I teach, how do I really know whether the children have learned it or not? And then, who are the children who, if they haven't learned it, how can I help them? And this came because I was teaching a grade 9 student, and basic fractions like 1 by 2 plus 3 by 4, and you would write 3 by 7. And he did the same mistake again and again for fractions. So it meant that somewhere along the line, when he learned the concept, he learned in a wrong way, and there was no one who rectified his mistake, so his trajectory is completely different. He hates math as of now, he has apathy, and his life is very different. So from there, the journey started for CLASSKLAP. How can we make sure personalization happens in classrooms using technology? And today we are present in 1250 plus schools, and the basic idea is same. Because personalization is a tough problem. It's not easy to do. Much as we sit in this room and tell that it's easy and it's a highly lofty, idealistic goal, but it's tough. For the teacher out there in the room, as we say, 40 teachers for 40 minutes, 40 students for 40 minutes at 40 degrees Celsius, it is a tough problem. So the way we have understood how to make sure it's integrated into the regular school schedule is, you should take the regular school exams. All of us hate the school exams or that. But you take the regular school exams, the assessments, and just keep analyzing the data from it and tell, okay, this child has this problem. Okay, now if he has a problem, then he should get a personalized performance enhancement, as sir said. And if a child is really strong, then he gets much more challenging problems. And we have been able to do by virtue of that, just using the regular exam system, where printed question papers go from us to the schools, these printed individualized worksheets, every student's name, they go to the students after every assessment that happens. So today we do it at around 12 assessments through a year. We want to make sure that it happens at every assessment after every period, where after the class has happened. Can the teacher ask 1 or 2 questions, and based on that, if she understands that that Naveen hasn't learned this well, he should probably get these particular content which is personalized to him. That's the goal that we have. But that has been our journey. How you can use regular assessment, regular examination data with technology, you can be able to reach out to every student, because that's our vision, that's our motto, because no true students are the same. So that was our journey in terms of using technology and assessment to be able to increase curriculum outcomes.
So did the students were engaged while they were using your...
So there are 2 things. I can actually give one example. So the regular textbook question that's out there is, for example, write a short note on Razia Sultana. That's the standard assessment question that comes. But we asked the question different way. We said, if Razia Sultana was present today, there would be a lot of opposition would there be a lot of opposition from the male leaders out there? So that converts the question from what was very historic question to making it much more relevant. If Razia Sultan ascended the throne today, would she still face a lot of opposition from the male nobles or male leaders today? And you can find dramatically the children's interest is engaged, because now they're applying. Now it's not write a short note on Razia Sultan, opposed they have to memorize 8 to 10 lines. Now they have to apply that, and that's one of the key things that we have found, that by virtue of tweaking the assessment questions, children find that I don't have to memorize a lot. If I understand and I can apply that over here, so it's fun answering the questions. That's been one of the most satisfaction things that I have found out in terms of the engagement part there. And then the next part is that in terms of engagement, the powerful part is like everyone of us agree over here. If you know a child's interest, you can automatically direct content to that. So suppose you're going to teach, let's say, volcanoes, let's say 2 weeks from now there. Now you know that this particular child watches a lot of Discovery TV, which we're able to have through our engagement, through our app data. And I can actually recommend to the parent and the child, okay, hey, here's this Discovery show coming up about volcanoes. And there's also a class coming up in 2 weeks. Why don't you watch it? And that's the kind of thing that can dramatically improve engagements as we go along.
Perfect. Amit ji, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. I think, Naveen, you brought a wonderful point that personalization of content and learning to every child is a very, very lofty idea. And especially when we talk about those 15 lakh schools where still technology is not reached to those levels. But we are blessed as educators, at least at international schools we are today. For example, in our class in OAKRIDGE, a child learns the way he or she would want to learn a particular topic. And what Naveen mentioned is exactly what happens. The child is given the power to learn. And the 3 questions that I raised in the beginning, technology can be a great leveler to answer all those 3 questions. So whether it is personalization of content and the way the child learns, whether it is creating differentiation, whether it is catering to the needs of the child in terms of the learning speed, or whether it is assessment. So as Naveen mentioned, that end of every class, or indeed rather at every point in the class, there is an assessment feedback which is going to the teacher, and the teacher knows which child needs what support at that point in time. There's no point if I'm doing that particular fractions wrong, and then after 1 week, after a lot of practice, I come to know after 1 week that, okay, this was the mistake which I had done a week ago. So I think that immediate feedback is something what technology can give us. So in our journey, Kuldeep, that you were asking at OAKRIDGE, so we have moved, I think, over the last few years, we have moved away from digitization to digital transformation in the school. So in this particular aspect of assessment, we have developed an internal, I would say, machine learning-based platform where our students and our teachers get a real-time assessment of the students, not just from their classrooms, but for every touch point in the school. So if a student is exposed to, say, about 10 teachers over the week, all the 10 teachers give the feedback about the child, and based on a machine learning algorithm, the profile of the child is available to the teacher at any point in time.
This is awesome idea.
To that, if we could just add to that. So one of the points that I really found is that we speak of personalization for the students, but even the teachers are learners, right? No teacher is perfect, and even we also learning. The fact that you could have personalization for the teachers, because out of 10 lesson plans, it happens like 6 lesson plans, the teacher is really good, 3 are average, and 2 are, probably still need a lot of improvement. You could have this kind of data and assessment, and you could feed into the teachers improving, almost as a personalization for the teacher to really become a good teacher, because every teacher wants to really improve. She wants to be really good in the class. And there's also, we should be thinking about personalization for the teacher as well. So just wanted to add a short point.
Perfect. CLASSKLAP, how many students currently it is serving?
These are around 500,000 students present
Worldwide?
across India. Yeah, our focus is India.
Your focus is.
I mean, around 50% of the world's schools are in India. So it's great to be here.
Perfect.
Would
Perfect.
like to
Thank
add
you.
something.
Colonel,
what
sir,
is-
please. Yeah.
Yeah, very simple. The biggest challenge is in terms of teachers. Wherever we have tried digital transformations or introduction of digitization, the biggest challenge first obviously would be the principal herself. I'm using the term herself because the majority of principals are ladies, and today in the K-12 space, more than the tiger in India, the male principal is the threatened species. We keep that aside. The challenge is fundamentally how the average teacher works around, and firstly there is this resistance. Then comes that initial phase where a lot of flaws are seen. So initial 18 to 24 months, when we started digitization, if I am the school head, if looks could kill, I would be ashes by now. They used to look at me like Basmasur. That's what happens. Then once those mistakes are identified, the teacher starts seeing that her individually developed lesson plan is enhancing the classroom. And when she started realizing that she's saving about 6 to 7 minutes in a class, we analyzed it on ground. That is where the change took place. However, I have a contra view. There is this belief that anything technology, despite Utkarsh getting annoyed with me, anything technology is the nirvana for all our education problems. It quite doesn't work out that way. I am looking forward to the time where the majority of our students, as per the new draft education policy, over 1 crore of students drop out in between. And even beyond that, beyond class 12, only 25% of our students reach college. Beyond class 9, almost 40% drop out across India. Let's take the southern states away. How can the digitization, how can technology reach out to them? How can technology work out a methodology where students or children coming from parents where both the parents are not educated, by the time they reach grade 1, they are minus 30 lakh words. This is not my study. This is an American university study. They have spoken 30 lakh less words, and a BBC study says that to make that up, you require over 80 years. That is the scale of the problem. Can we, beyond sitting in where we are relatively better off schools where digitization is possible, do we have solutions for that? I presently don't have an answer. I look forward to an answer.
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you.
that's a great point right here. But not only Utkarshji, even Nicole Tesla believes it that in times to come, digitization and technology will probably replace even human beings. To that extent, he's believing right now. So this is a school of thought. Digitization is one aspect. Then is coming artificial intelligence, and we are talking about teachers coming as AI. And there are schools which are already having an AI teachers. But I'm not sure how the emotional aspect which a teacher, which you and me serves to a student and our children, how that AI robot will be able to serve. But if they are able to do that, which means we'll develop a new consciousness altogether, a new world altogether. But before I move further, I think I'll just move to Dr. Shivananda for the last opinion, and then I'll leave the floor open for questions and answer. Please, sir, Dr. Shivananda.
Yeah, the future of digitization, the vision of the school. I would talk about my school. That's what you were asking, right?
Global Indian International School,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, globally. See, we are placed in various parts of Asia. With the introduction of AI as by CBSE, and everybody is talking about it's a new electricity. As you rightly mentioned, just teaching digitization programming is not enough. The higher order thinking, critical thinking, they plays the key role. It doesn't take for a student to learn how a Python programming works. But what really happens, how do you use that? How do you make it practical? If you see theories of learning, there are two learning methods which are not objected by anybody, that they claim to be the highest, adding learning, they are adding the highest learning value. That is, either you use the concept in a practical way, producing a product, or you teach somebody. These two learning tools claim to be the highest till now. So we try to use that in our every class. Yesterday I was sitting in my class, in a performance enhancement class. I had 4 students. I asked one of them to set a question paper to the other set the question paper. Finally they understood, my friends know this arithmetic progression better than me, and he knows something better than him. So this teaching learning to one another continues to be our prime learning tool in our classroom. It is happening, and we'll take this to the next level. Next, we have already introduced AI in our classrooms, starting from grade 5. And I was very happy to see 2 students of grade 10 have created an app, and they are already in the market. They are earning for it. And they are thinking of not doing their engineering after 12th. They want to become entrepreneurs, and after that they go for engineering. Maybe the way forward is, our students may not take up graduation immediately. I have seen this trend in many, many schools. They want to be entrepreneurs first, and then they continue their learning. And this...
You can send them to me.
Definitely. Yeah, we are attached with some companies like Wisely Wise from Singapore. They supply, they give good tools of artificial intelligence in learning. And we have got a lot of competitions happening almost every week on a global platform, wherein children are encouraged to put into practice with various tools, like what they learned in science. If they have learned how do you go to places? Then we'll ask them to make a practical digital presentation where they actually learn. We are, one of the groups is working on how do you maximize the traffic movement in 2 circles of Whitefield. This is done in grade 6. So we practically put into use, and we sometimes call the traffic police to give their view. This is our way forward.
Thank you very much to all of you. Digitization, all of you are going through it. Artificial intelligence is the coming challenges which all of you hope you would have learned and picked up some points from this learning session. Thank you for your precious time and listening to all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much.